Hey, 7th graders, this is Mrs. Rich. It's Monday, March 23rd. So for this week, we're going to be looking at explicit and implicit meanings from nonfiction texts. We're going to be looking at Iditarod spreadsheets. We're going to be looking at maps and photos. So you'll know that the Iditarod finished yesterday, I believe, and all the mushers are in that are going to finish. They've all packed up and gone back home. So now we're going to really analyze the data that we get from their website. So I'm going to look at a short photo from March 13th. This is when the top 10 finishers were in Galena. And we're going to first talk about the explicit information we can get, which is the facts, just the facts, everything that's out there for us easily to see. And then looking at the spreadsheet and maps and the photos, what inferences we can make as well. So here's a page from your packet that you should have gotten in Google Classroom this weekend. And most of those of you who won't get Google Classroom, you'll get it in paper probably Wednesday or Thursday. So anyway, when I look at this spreadsheet, I notice that all the top 10 finishers are in Galena. That is explicit information. It's there. You don't have to search too hard to find it. I can tell you that Brent Sass is in first place. I can tell you the number of dogs that they have in and out. And when I look at that list, it looks like all of the dogs, they're all running pretty good teams. The only one to drop a dog would be Peter Kaiser. So you can see that he had 11 when he got in and then 10 when he dropped. When I look at the speeds, their miles per hour, I notice that some of the folks that are not in first place have some of the faster times. For example, down here in 8th place, we have 8.29 miles per hour, and they're still running 14 dogs, so it makes you wonder why they're not doing better, whereas Brent Sass in first place is running at 7.73 miles per hour, and he only has 13 dogs. That's where inferencing or implicit understanding comes in, trying to figure out, based on the data that we have, what we can conclude or infer from what we see. So here's a Google Earth map at the top of Galena, and you'll notice some explicit information I can find. It is on the Yukon. It has an airport. The majority of the settlement is right here on the bend in the river. I'm looking at the photograph down below. For as far as the eye can see in this photograph, it looks pretty flat. Maybe back here in the distance there might be a little bit of a hill, but it's flat. But it also, if I were to make a comparison, it looks somewhat like parts of Maine. It has power, it has electricity, it has telephone. The roads are plowed, so it looks very similar to some of our more rural parts of Maine. So what implicit meaning can we make from these photographs, from the spreadsheet, from the map? Well, I would say that if you are a musher running through Galena, if you're running on the Yukon, your times are probably going to be faster. It's a flat surface, it's frozen ice, and we look at the spreadsheet. Some of their times are as fast as 8 miles per hour, 7 miles per hour, which makes sense given the terrain. If they're running through the town of Galena, look how flat the roads are. It's flat, it's straight, and that might account for some of their higher speeds on the spreadsheet. As you do the final spreadsheet analysis where you look for explicit and implicit information, remember, explicit is the facts, what you can readily see. Whether it's numbers on the spreadsheet, whether it's terrain on a map, whether it's landmarks on a photograph, that's your explicit information. The implicit meaning is what conclusions can you draw from that information. And when you write your answers to the implicit questions, make sure you're using specific evidence, that you are actually referring to facts from the spreadsheet, the maps, the photos, when you draw your conclusions and make your inferences.